we should take a peek back. There's a lot of teams that are now saying goodbye. The seasons have ended. There are no playoffs for them. I am very familiar with this. Now there are 18 teams that don't make the playoffs, 3 of whom fell short on the very last day. Whit, none other than your Bengals. Andy Reid wasn't going to let them into the playoffs. The Chiefs lost 38-0 to Denver. That tells you everything you want to know about Andy Reid and him not wanting to even sniff the Bengals in the playoffs. But what's your end of the season message to Bengals Nation after the season they had?
Well, I'll tell you what, Andy Reid does everything good. Even if he needs to lose a game, they lose it in a really good fashion, 38-0. But, when I talk about the Bengals, it's tough, man. I mean, when you sit there and go, all right, we got a quarterback who finished the season with the most yards, a receiver who won the Triple Crown, and a defensive end who led the league in sacks. But we didn't even make the playoffs. I think it's a tough thing to say, this was a great season. I think it's a great finish. But at some point, you've got to sit there as Zach Taylor and say, how do we fix the last 3 straight seasons of how we've started the year? Because, yes, all these things are positive. Great finish, guys. That's awesome. And, oh, man, the Chiefs blocked us from getting in. No, they didn't. You blocked yourselves because for the last 3 straight years, you've been terrible to start the season. You got to adjust camp. You got to adjust your philosophy in the first few weeks. Whatever that is, you've got to do something to address these issues because it cannot be the narrative again for this team. Now, what I do love, if I'm a Bengals fan, is regardless of whether you were a Lou Anarumo fan or a Frank Pollock fan or some of these coaches that they've already decided to let go, what I hated when I was in Cincinnati, and we did have that streak of, we went to some playoff games, we couldn't get over the hump, is we never made change. We never said, hey, you know what? We've got to find a way to be better. That means somebody might have to lose their job. That means somebody as a player or a coach might have to come in here and fix it and help us fix it. I love seeing that Zach Taylor immediately says, you know what? We will be accountable and we're going to make changes. But now those changes, now you're in a situation as a head coach. Once you start making those changes, they got to work because then it starts to fall back on you.
You so run out of people to point the finger at.
you don't have anybody to point the finger at. So this next season, how they start the year and the way it goes is going to fall on Zach Taylor, and it really will tell the story of what is going to be possible of this Joe Burrow-led Bengals organization. How do they handle T. Higgins and Jamar Chase this offseason with contracts and how they move forward? This is a big year for Zach Taylor and the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting offseason. I think everybody's going to have their eye on that one. But what a year by Joe Burrow. I mean, kudos to him. It sucks he missed the playoffs, but I mean, just
insane, dude.
Insane.
But listen,
really fun to watch.
Those emotions are tough. You saw how emotional he was. Like you looked at the last couple press conferences talking about him wanting his guys back. And I mean, the other teams, the Falcons and Dolphins, also missed in the final week.
Yeah.
You saw Bijan Robinson emotional. You saw Tyreek Hill's obviously emotions about it. You talked about this. You're going to share with us almost 10 years now. One of your most painful memories. Come on, you got to tell us the story.
I know
about the time you missed out.
Well, 2015 Jets. The way the season started. If you remember, that was the year that Geno broke his jaw, and I got thrown into the starting position. And really, it was a veteran team, but it was kind of a team kind of at the end of their window. They hadn't played very well the year before. And so I don't know what the expectations were going into the year. We found ourselves at 5-5 in the beginning or the middle of the year. And then we reeled off 5 straight, and we're sitting there at 10-5, win and you're in to the playoffs. And it wasn't just me who had never been to the playoffs. Brandon Marshall still, to this day hadn't been to the playoffs, but I think he's played the most games and never gone to the playoffs. So both of us, we're holding on to this moment. We're at Buffalo, of all places, of course. And the Steelers are sitting a game behind us. If they lose, we're in. If we win, we're definitely in. And we get to the fourth quarter. Not a great game. 19-17, we're losing to the Bills. We're driving down. We're in field goal range. We're inside the 20, and we call a double post. I throw a ball. It gets picked off in the end zone. And so it's like, oh, no. Gets picked off in the end zone. Tough moment for me, but look, we still have time. They end up going on a really long drive. We get the ball. They kick a field goal. We get the ball down 22-17, I think with about 4 minutes left. Plenty of time. Driving down, a 2-minute warning. There's a timeout, and there's a 3rd and 8 or 9. and I've got the decision to make. Brandon Marshall been doing a great job one-on-one, 3-by-1 formations, just eating it up on the backside. Do I want to throw him an out route, or do I want to throw him an out and up? I decide I want to throw him an out and up. Well, it takes a little bit longer than I thought. I get hit as I'm throwing it, and I'll never forget this. Ball's in the air forever, gets picked off. And Marcel Darius, who we were teammates in Buffalo, is apologizing to me after he hits me. He's like, dude, I'm playing the game. I'm trying, but he knew the gravity of the situation for me and how bad I wanted it and how bad I wanted to win that game. And then to add to that, we get the ball back. 22-17, 40 seconds left, maybe no timeouts. Not a great situation, but we had a play down the sideline. I threw it to Kimbrell Tompkins. It's in his hands, and then just at the last second gets knocked out. Heartbreaker. And then, of course, desperation. I throw another pick. So 3 interceptions on the last 3 drives in the fourth quarter, chance for us to go to the playoffs. And you want to talk about feeling the emotions in that locker room after the game. I just remember the moment I had with a bunch of different guys, but Brandon Marshall in particular, 2 guys that never in their careers ended up making it to the playoffs. We finished 10-6. Pittsburgh wins their game and ends up edging us out of the playoffs. Those are the moments you never forget. And a lot of them are great moments, and some of them are horrible moments like this that you go through and you try to come out the other side. And every time you go through a moment like that, at least for me, I think about my kids, and I think about, how do I want them to see me in that situation? How would I want them to react in that situation? Not an easy thing to face the fans, the coaches, the players after a game like that, a finish like that, but it's something that you builds your character and makes you stronger.